Deep inside a glowing sunflower meadow, where the air smelled like flowers and laughter, lived a very special bee named Bella. Bella was the tiniest bee in the whole meadow. But her heart was the biggest of all. She wasn't the fastest flyer. And she wasn't the strongest nectar collector. But what made Bella truly special was her love for helping others. Every single morning, she would zip from one bright flower to another, humming happy little tunes to herself as she worked. She would dream of doing something truly wonderful for her friends in the forest, one particularly. Sunny day, Bella was resting on a leaf, watching the fairest animals gather for their breakfast. She noticed something that made her feel a little sad. Everyone had plain, dry bread. They nibbled on it without much excitement, and no one was smiling. Bella's tiny antennae drooped. What if I could make something sweet for them? She whispered to a ladybug nearby. Something warm, something filled with love. Just thinking about it made her little wings buzz with excitement. A brilliant idea popped into her head with a brave little flutter. Bella decided she was going to bake honey bread. Now, this was a very bold decision because, as you might know, bees had never, ever baked before. But that didn't stop Bella. She was determined. Her first stop was the tallest sunflowers in the meadow. She carefully gathered golden drops of the sweetest honey. Next, she flew to Mrs. Ant's kitchen, where she politely borrowed some of the softest, finest flour. For a touch of magic, she visited her friend, Mr. Butterfly, who was more than happy to sprinkle some magical, shimmering flour dust into her bowl. Bella felt like a real chef. With all her ingredients ready, Bella started to mix everything together in a big acorn bowl. She hummed her happy tune as she stirred, imagining the smiles on her friends' faces. But then, oops! As she leaned over to add a little more honey, her tiny bee feet slipped, and she tumbled right into the sticky dough. Oh, what a mess! Bella was covered from her antennae to her stinger in sweet, gooey honey. Flour poofed into the air like a white cloud. The bowl wobbled dangerously, and the big ball of dough nearly rolled right off the leaf table. For a moment, Bella just sat there, covered in dough. Then she started to giggle. A little mess wasn't going to stop her. She carefully climbed out, wiped her wings, and said with a cheerful buzz, "Mistakes just mean I'm learning." She knew that getting things right on the first try wasn't what mattered. What mattered was not giving up. So, with a deep breath and a whole lot of patience, she continued to mix and knead with her tiny bee hands. She stirred and stirred until the dough was perfectly smooth. Then, she carefully shaped it into a beautiful, round loaf and gently slid it into a warm little oven she had made from a hollowed-out stone warmed by the sun. It wasn't long before the most delicious, warm, and sweet smell began to drift through the entire forest. It was a smell no one had ever known before, a mix of honey, sunshine, and pure happiness. One by one, the animals started peeking out from behind the trees. Their noses twitched, and their eyes grew wide with curiosity. The shy little mouse poked his head out from his hole. The tired old turtle stretched his neck out of his shell. Even the grumpy owl, who was usually asleep at this time, opened one big eye and blinked in wonder. They all followed the scent, drawn toward Bella's tiny baking station. When the honey bread was finally ready, Bella carefully pulled it from the oven. It was perfect! It was golden brown, beautifully soft, and seemed to glow with a warm light, just like the afternoon sun. With all her might, she carried the loaf out for everyone to see. Her heart was buzzing with pride and a little bit of nervousness. Would they like it? She offered a piece to each of her friends. Everyone took a bite, and then the most wonderful thing happened. The quiet forest suddenly echoed with happy cheers and joyful gasps. The bread was sweeter than any nectar, warmer than any sunbeam, and it was filled with something truly special. Kindness, the shy mouse, who usually hid from everyone, let out a big Happy Squeak and did a little dance. The tired turtle, who always moved so slowly, laughed so hard his shell wiggled. And the grumpy owl? He actually clapped his wings together in applause. Everyone was smiling, laughing, and sharing. The forest had never felt so full of joy. As Bella watched her friends enjoying the bread, her heart buzzed with a happiness she had never felt before. She realized something very important that day. It wasn't just the honey or the magical flower dust that made the bread so special. It was the love and care she had put into making it for them. It was her desire to bring them all a little bit of joy. That day, all the animals in the forest learned a beautiful lesson. They learned that even the smallest helper, doing something with a big heart, can create the biggest happiness. Kindness and effort, no matter how small they seem, can change everything. And from that day forward, whenever the sweet smell of honey bread drifted through the trees, the animals would smile. They would remember Bella the bee, the tiny baker with the giant heart, who showed them all that a little bit of kindness is the secret ingredient that makes everything in life so much sweeter.